Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Dr. Michael Glock, author of Way Ahead Medicine Stories. Michael, welcome to the show.
Oh, great to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right, question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Great question. I would say that you must be influenced and informed by your horizontal life. What that means is, at night when you go to sleep, you lie down, you become horizontal, and when you go to sleep, you experience dreams. And like Sigmund Freud said, I believe that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious.
Excellent. And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
That's a tricky question. There are so many stumbling blocks. Many of them are personal and individual. Some of them are technical. It depends what resources you have, what experience you've gained. But the bottom line is, I think, that blank page that you confront yourself with, getting up the guts to actually write and to write consistently every day and produce a book. And then, as we know, writing, it's like 3% writing and 97% editing and rewriting. It's actually doing the work. Once you have the book, everything falls into place.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
Okay, so it has a couple of steps. I really believe in the social network space, and you must have your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram. You've got to have all of the accounts, and you've got to be using them. You've got to build your network. You are building yourself an audience. Secondly, I would recommend authorsweek.com. They offer a service where you just put your book up for free, and they market your book on social media to about 1.5 million people per month. Then build yourself a author platform. Have a dedicated system online where you are showcasing your book. You have some email automation sequences. You are offering a guide to how to use your book. And so you have an author's platform, you have your social media marketing, and you have Authors Week, and there's other companies that can help you get the word out.
Well, you mentioned Authors Week, so that is when your book is free. Is that correct, the Kindle version?
No. Authors Week is a company that you can promote your own book on the company website and be an author of the week, and then that company, Authors Week, actually promotes your book for a month for free across all of the media platforms with your hashtags. They have some additional services on top of that, but they're paid. But it's free to start.
So they'll make you an author of the week, and then they will promote you essentially for the next month.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's a good jump start.
And now you mentioned the importance of social media. So you talked about LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Are there any other ones that you'd recommend?
Absolutely. I would also do Pinterest. And what I would do is, even if you're not visual and you've written like a fiction book, I would create, imagine doing a PowerPoint presentation of your book, breaking it down chapter by chapter, and create a visual story. In the film industry, they do this a lot with a script because many people can't understand really what the movie would be about. So they take the script and they turn it into a PowerPoint presentation with visuals and some good storytelling, maybe some music, and you create an impression of it. And that is a model, and that's what sells the book to a producer, director, and actors to get involved. The same thing with your book. Break it down and then use Pinterest to actually create a story and do boards around your story. Like if you were doing, say, a science fiction book about Area 51 in the United States Air Force and maybe the new global space force that they're thinking of doing now, and you've written a fictional book about that, you could have a board about the book and all of the places in the book, pictures of Area 51, and then you could have another board on Pinterest on Air Force branding. And you basically build a whole world. And as you know, storytelling is all about building worlds. And that's what your marketing should do as well. It should build a world for you and your book.
Yeah, and that is such a great idea with using storyboarding, because I always think about all the Marvel movies, and I think it's the biggest thing versus Marvel and DC. I mean, DC's had some good movies, but I think Marvel's been exceptional because they really do take that storyboarding approach and walk everyone through that process where they can make the big superheroes, they're huge like Iron Man, but even the smaller ones like Ant-Man, and some of these other ones,
Yep.
that they can still do these full features. And I feel like a main reason that they're able to do that is through that storyboarding concept.
Totally agree. For me, it's like being an architect, and the architect builds a model of the house that doesn't yet exist. The moment that the model of the house exists, the bank understands, oh, I see, that's why I should put up $5 million to build that. Oh, I see the landscape that the house is built on. Okay, I totally get it. I'm getting to get a view of the river when I look out this window. People can visualize it. And so the trick to marketing that we've discovered and that I've discovered through Way Ahead, and my book Way Ahead actually talks about this process of becoming a futurist and visualizing what the future could be. But my book, Way Ahead, is about doing it personally for you so that you can actually design your future.
Yeah, and that is such a great idea. And this is definitely some great advice, because you're absolutely right. I mean, there are so many platforms that we can be utilizing. And you also mentioned about the PowerPoint presentations as well, with the storyboard and putting that on Pinterest. I think Pinterest is probably the biggest area of opportunity that we have as authors right now that we're probably not utilizing as much as we should.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I want to add something. I talked about PowerPoint. PowerPoint is the brand name for the Microsoft products. But listen, what I recommend, if you really want to get into this business of being an author and marketing your book and making money on the internet, get yourself a G Suite account. It costs it's $5 a month, and you get access to the entire gamut of Google products. You get Google Sheets, which is like an Excel spreadsheet. You get Google Docs, and you get an application that is even, in my opinion, better than PowerPoint. It's all free to use. You have Google Drive. All of your files can be on there. You can build an entire ecosystem around Google's products and G Suite, and then it's incredibly easy for you to create your boards on Pinterest, and based on your book, you can figure out how you could even make money from your book and what the book is talking about, because you could do affiliate marketing, and your boards on Pinterest could be the leads into your affiliate programs or the products. So there's all sorts of ways to just monetize. It's not just your book. It's not just selling your book. Like, here's the other idea. Like, you have a book, and don't think of selling the book online, but take the book to your local community college and speak about it. And prior to going and speaking about your book at the community college, you've done a deal in which you've sold the community college 500 copies of your book at wholesale, which is double of what your cost is. So all of a sudden, you're making thousands of dollars talking about your book. Everybody wants to have somebody come and talk powerfully about the work that they're doing in the world.
Yeah, and that is such a great piece of advice there, to be able to utilize public speaking to speak at these community colleges and to do that, because you're right. You have to run your book like a business. And that is what makes a big difference between people utilizing this as a hobby or utilizing it as a career.
Completely agreed.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Okay, my favorite book is called Memory, Dreams, and Reflections. It's written by a depth psychologist called Carl Gustav Jung. And it's the story of the things that he had learned. He is the guy who created the idea that there's a collective unconscious, that there's archetypes. His early work was with galvanic instruments that measured how you responded to key words. It was the word association test. He was actually the original inventor of what the FBI and the CIA use now, known as the lie detector tests. But he was an amazing psychologist as well. And there's one thing that he said, and it has impacted me. I've written a couple of books based on that particular phrase. And what he said was, that which is not made conscious is doomed to live out in the world as fate.
Excellent. That is a great example.
Yes, it certainly is. And that's why I encourage you to dream. Because in your dreams, it is your psyche, it's your soul helping you advance in the world. It's giving you insights about what could happen.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Well, I just gave you my favorite quote.
I think you did there, so I was wondering about
that. I am going to do it again because it is profound in its implication. Here's what he said. That which is not made conscious is doomed to live out in the world as fate. What that means is that which is inside you, like all of your traumas, all of what you back down from, the shadow parts of you, if you don't get to know who you really are, outside in the world, you will get cancer, you'll have accidents, you will advance or won't advance in your career. There'll be stumbling blocks. All of that is because there's hidden material inside you. So to become a really great, wise human being, you have to do the work on yourself. And that's why I love being an author, and that's why I love writing and encouraging other authors, is that you're creating inner worlds and you are discovering yourself. You know, much of the writing is about psychology and about, you know, mankind landing on Mars and building a colony, but everything goes awry because, you know, we still have the colonization mentality. We have a dominator culture, and, maybe there were Martians, and we don't get on with them. Well, that whole fictional book is a retelling of what we ourselves have done to each other on this place called Earth. So it's about understanding ourselves and then becoming better human beings out there in the world and in the future.
Michael, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Best way to find me is Bloom Factor, because that's what I offer. Bloomfactor.com and Bloom Factor FYI.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you once again for being a guest on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you, Paul. Good talking with you.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.